Coming up on SportsCenter, opening day in baseball mourns the loss of a veteran umpire. But the games go on. That is, unless Mother Nature takes its course. Where they did play, there were old faces in familiar places. And defending champions surviving a close call. Did the Cinderella slipper fit for the Orangemen? Or would the clock strike midnight in the form of the Wildcats? The playmaker may be a time doer. Michael Irvin faces drug charges in Dallas. And the Ravens officially make Baltimore their home. New York may be the home of the next Wizard of Defense, while Boston may be the home of the Wizard of E. So relax, take a seat, but not the hard way, please. SportsCenter, we're looking out for you next.
Hello and welcome to the show, along with Reese Davis. I'm Craig Kilborn.
Coming up, baseball's opening day from Cincinnati to Vegas, but first, closing night in the Meadowlands, where Syracuse needed a big rock in his slingshot to drop a big blue giant.
Or maybe just played the perfect game. This was to be Rick Pitino's moment. Jim Boeheim and the Syracuse Orangemen seem to have overachieved by getting to the final. Of course, there's always the chance of an upset. This is just one game. Anything can happen. This is not a 7-game series. But as basketball fans, all we really wanted was a close game, and that's what we got to the Meadowlands. Huddle up, let's bring it in, play some defense. Rick Pitino, 1-6 lifetime versus his mentor Jim Boeheim. Tony Del caution, flammable for 3, and then Tony lingering. Wildcats with the early lead, then it's Big John. Wallace leans in, draws contact, and 1. 3-point play. Then Laz Sims throwing the lob for Wallace. Lazarus, and it goes in. Ruled a 3-pointer, but it shouldn't have counted. In the cylinder, that's offensive goaltending, but the game is tied at 28. Then Otis Hill, bothered by the Kentucky pressure, throws it away. Antoine Walker, push it real good. Delk, lightheaded, his 6th 3 of the half. A bit later, Walker, skip pass. Ron Mercer release rotation, splash, 14-5 UK run to close the half. Rick Pitino's team up 9. That's not a shot. That's another lob from Laz. Todd Bergen converts. Orange down by 2. But Kentucky goes on a 10-0 run, capped by Tony Delk's 7th 3 of the game. He's fouled by Bergen. 4-point play puts the Cats up by 12. John Wallace carries Syracuse back. Hard to the hoop with emphasis. 3-point play. Orange within 4. Then Johnny Loblock establishes the pivot foot. Drop step, pretty move. The Orange down by 4. They could close to within 2 points. Little luck for the Wildcats. Delk misses the 3. Walter McCarty's there for the tip. Cats up 4. Move the ball. McCarty, Derek Anderson for 3. UK up by 7. Then McCarty, resourceful, saving it. Mark Pope. The Wildcats stayed up by 7. Syracuse with a chance down 5 late. John Wallace has to foul Pope on the reach. 1:06 to play. Wallace fouls out. Big game for him. Rick Pitino and his gang celebrate. Sims taking the loss hard, but it was a close game. Kentucky wins it. Kentucky last won the national championship in 1978. Back in Lexington, Kentucky, firecrackers exploded and beer sprayed through the air inside the Two Keys Tavern as "We Are the Champions" blared over the speakers. Boy, the creativity is alive on the college campuses. John Wallace led the Orange with 29 points, 10 boards. Tony Delk, 24 for the Wildcats.
The UMass game taught us how to play great team defense in a low post. And now going from shame, when I took over, that was the big thing with the SI article about the little boy in the cover in shame, to the national championship and doing it by the strictest of rules really makes us all very, very proud.
They've been the best team in the country for most of the year, along with Massachusetts. We put ourselves in a position to win the basketball game, and they made great plays, and that was the difference.
It hurts a lot, you know. We left our hearts out on the floor, and Kentucky was a great team, and we did as much as we could, and we fell a little short. They're a really good team, and they deserve the win, and they were predicted _1 all season long, and that's what they finished up doing.
Tony Delk is named the outstanding player of the Final Four. He ties Steve Alford's championship game record of 7 3-pointers. Alford set the record 9 years ago, also against Syracuse. Tony Delk ends his career as the 4th leading scorer in Kentucky history with 1,890 points. For more on the championship game, let's join Chris Fowler, Dick Vitale, and Digger Phelps in New York.
Craig, thank you. Kentucky's 6th national championship, certainly not artistic. Only twice this year do they shoot a lower field goal percentage. Only 3 times do they score fewer points. But hey, it is very sweet. That 18-year drought is over and plenty of bourbon being consumed down in the Bluegrass State.
Well, you know, celebration, basketball, a way of life down there. Rick Pitino, right out of the gate, had a lot of pressure, but they played brilliantly defensively, forced a lot of turnovers, did not shoot the ball well. 38%, they still win by 9. Syracuse shoots 50%, but Digger was the turnovers that really created a nightmare for Syracuse.
Big factor, 24 turnovers leads to 27 points. But the other thing is 18 offensive rebounds for Kentucky versus 8 for Syracuse. So when you take a look at Kentucky shooting 38%, Chris, you play the defense, you pound those boards, doesn't matter what you shoot, you still dominate a game.
Rick Pitino in his 7th season wins a national championship in his hometown. CM Newton came here to New York to get him down there to end that long championship drought. Now that he's done it, plenty of satisfaction and relief as he spoke with our Leslie Visser.
No school has more victories than the University of Kentucky, and tonight they add the most important one. Rick, they hung around like UMass. What was the difference?
Well, UMass took a lot out of us, and then Syracuse took a lot out of us, but defense is the difference in Tony Duck's obvious shooting.
When they cut it to 2, what did you want your team to do?
Just told them when we took the timeout, they said, just relax. It's the UMass game all over again. Even if you don't score, you still have the option to stop them, and you have the lead, so don't panic.
And what about for you? I remember back at Boston University, we used to count the people in the stands. What does this mean to you?
I would stand out in the hallways, and no one would ever cover us but you. You came as a young reporter. I'm 5 or 6 years older than you, and I appreciate you being back here today.
But what does this mean?
It's just an unbelievable feeling for the team. It's an unbelievable feeling for the fans of Kentucky who've been starving for this. And, you know, from my friends and family, who, believe it or not, we all wanted as coaches, but they wanted it so much more. And people think it was the media or the fans. It was my family and friends that wanted it so badly.
Tough pressure.
Yes, it is, and that's a good pressure.
Well, congratulations to you, Rick. Big plate of pasta waiting.
Thank you.
Goodbye.
Only UCLA with 11 has more national championships than Kentucky's 6 now. Rick mentioned Tony Delk shooting early, but it was also a freshman, Ron Mercer, who was brilliant.
I'll tell you, the diaper dandy really stood out. He's at BMOC now, big man on campus. He made a lot of big plays. We take a look at the movement of the basketball right now by Kentucky. Antoine Walker kicks it out. Mercer knocks it down. Then we're going to see a little bit more ball movement. There's the great pass by Walker, and there it is, knocked down again by Mr. Mercer. And now we're going to watch the steal by Mercer. He kicks it to Epps, the point guard. Epps says, hey, you made the steal. I'm going back to you, Mr. Mercer. NBA, nothing but nylon. Had 20 points, which is a career high, made a lot of big plays when they were struggling shooting the basketball. He really came through at the crucial moment.
Talk a lot about Kentucky's bench. Besides Mercer, the bench did not have a great night, but the freshman was there. Meanwhile, for Jim Boeheim, it was 9 years and 2 days after the heartbreak of losing that national title to Indiana on the Keith Smart jumper, a game that he thought he should have had. After his team made a game effort against Kentucky, it was a very different Jim Boeheim that spoke with our Mike Tirico.
Coach, I guess when you look back at this, you guys were getting up the mountain at the second half. It was similar to the UMass game, where just one more play maybe would have got you closer.
We got it to 64-60. From being down 13 or 14 against a great team like Kentucky, I thought, you know, we did everything we could at that point. I told the players after the game, everybody looks in this society, wins and losses, but as far as I'm concerned, they won. They won. They're winners. They deserve to be very proud of themselves and hold their head high. We lost to a great team that made a couple great plays at the end of the game when they had to. I'm just glad that we were able to get ourselves in that position where we could win the game, and that's all that matters. And I told them that I've never been any prouder of any team that I've ever coached than I am of this team. They have tremendous heart and character, and John Wallace was a Lion today, and I'm just proud of him.
And Bergen played very well. You needed one other guy to put up some points?
We needed one other guy. You know, we did a pretty good job. We held Kentucky below 40% field goal percentage. We got to Delk finally in the second half. We didn't get to him in the first half. That hurt us. But in the second half, we got to him better. In fact, he only scored his baskets off transition, which really, you know, we made a couple too many turnovers. You're going to turn over against Kentucky. We turned over a little too much, but we put ourselves in position to win. We needed one more guy to step up inside, and didn't get it tonight. But you have to give Kentucky a tremendous amount of credit. They're a great basketball team, and they deserve to win.
Congratulations on a good year.
Never in the top 10 all season, but they gave a great team a good battle tonight. But as Boeheim mentioned, a few too many mistakes.
Well, he also mentioned one more guy, and that was Otis Hill, who only went 3 for 9 tonight. In the other 5 games, he averaged 15 or more. But it was the miscues that really bothered Syracuse tonight. And when they had any chance of making any run, watch Sims with a bad wrist, shoots a bad 3, nothing there. Then you come down, you take a look at John Wallace on the breakaway, overextends himself, charges right into Epps, and that was his 4th foul. But watch this, coming down again. You see it coming inside. Sims penetrates. Pope gets a steal, and Wallace gets his 5th foul, and that's it. And that was really lights out for John Wallace as well as Syracuse.
Yeah, Lazaro Sims so brilliant. 40 minutes, 0 turnovers the other night. He had 7 turnovers. The team a total on Monday night of 24. You expect him to have more against Kentucky, but it was a few too many. Boeheim said didn't need to play a perfect game. They needed to play better than that. So Kentucky, with all those turnovers, survives a poor shooting night. A lot more coming up from New Jersey and New York as we continue to wrap up Kentucky's national championship victory. Back now to SportsCenter. We leave you with this view of Jim Boeheim. His daughter Elizabeth still loves him, even though the Orangemen are a loser on Monday.
Guys, thank you. As our national pastime, baseball can stir our deepest emotions. Strike shortens the season and writers rage that the sanctity of the game is being compromised. Others want to play a faster pace, and broadcasters pontificate about violating the timeless quality of the game. A tragic reminder opening day in Cincinnati that despite our feelings toward it, baseball is just a game. 7 pitches into the opener between the Reds and Expos, umpire John McSherry turned away from home plate, suffered a massive heart attack, and died. The video you're about to see is graphic and could be disturbing. As the lineups were exchanged, McSherry seemed fine, chatting with Reds manager Ray Knight about ground rules and so forth. Moments later, Rondell White at the plate. McSherry, who's had a history of medical trouble, called time, turned away from home plate, motioned for help, and collapsed. Trainers from both teams rushed to his side. They administered CPR. And players like Mike Lansing of the Expos, McSherry's fellow umpires, and even the fans in Riverfront Stadium looked on in shock. McSherry rushed to the University of Cincinnati Hospital, where attempts to revive him were unsuccessful. 3:01 Eastern Time, John McSherry was pronounced dead at the age of 51. Initially, the thought was to continue the game, but spurred by distraught Reds players, the game was postponed and will be played in its entirety Tuesday. Now, McSherry recently took a physical required of all umpires. The awful irony is that he was to have seen doctors about an irregular heartbeat Tuesday. McSherry reportedly told fellow umpire Tom Hallion, "I'm going to be here with him opening day and then go get that tomorrow." The death of one of the game's most respected men in blue stunned the baseball world.
My heart aches because he was my instructor. He was one of my best friends. And he was a genuine good person. And he was a good umpire, and I think we're going to all miss him. It just hasn't set in yet. Just right now, it just hurts.
Well, brokenhearted. We lost a comrade. We lost a great umpire and a good guy. I mean, if you knew John, you knew he was a wonderful person, and he gave it his all.
It's tough to see someone that you've known for a long, long time that's given so much to a game pass away in front of your eyes.
When I went out to home plate, I don't know, everything left me. I take a lot of pride in what I do, but everything left. I said, baseball is baseball. A human life, you get your priorities together very, very quickly.
It's a big loss. I mean, baseball lost a good friend, and the umpires lost one of the family.
John McSherry spent nearly a quarter-century on the field of the game he loved. Later in the show, we'll take a closer look at McSherry's career and the loss that devastated the baseball community Monday. Craig.
Greg Maddux is undefeated in 3 opening day starts with the Braves and has beat the San Francisco Giants 6 straight times. With those odds in their favor, the world champion Atlanta Braves began defense of their crown. Maddux, the winner of 4 straight Cy Young Awards, takes them out against the Giants. To Atlanta we go, and the World Championship banner hanging high above Fulton County Stadium. Early on, things look normal. Maddux in fine form, striking out Robbie Thompson. Then bottom of the first, Braves already leading 1-0. Ryan Klesko takes Mark Leiter deep. First Brave homer of the year, and it's 3-0 Atlanta. Bottom of the 5th, Braves leading 4-2. Crime Dog, boom, takes Leiter deep. 2-run shot. 6-2 Braves. Leiter gave up 6 runs in 5 innings. 6th inning, 1 on for Sean Dunston. Hits one down the line. The ball is going to hit the net, and that's fair. Home run. Bobby Cox has seen enough. Maddux pulled after 5 2/3. He gave up 4 runs, but the Brave offense would pick him up. Jeff Juden serves up a gopher ball to Mark Lemke. Braves' 4th homer of the day, 7-4 Atlanta. Finally in the 8th, it's pinch hitter Jerome Walton. And touch 'em all, Jerry, every single one. You just went yard. 5 homers in all for Atlanta. They win it. Maddox didn't have his best stuff, but he gets the W. The Braves got their World Series rings before the game from National League President Leonard Coleman. The game time temperatures, 49 degrees. Greg Maddox, no stranger to opening day assignments, but not familiar with the numbers he posted Monday. He got the W, but the numbers not nearly as impressive as his previous 3 openers for Atlanta. Dodgers and the Astros, pitching duel early at the Astrodome. Ramon Martinez striking out. Derek May pitched to the corner. Shane Reynolds gets Delano to Shields with the big curve. And Terry Collins is pleased. Top of the 5th, bases juice, game tied at 1. Todd Hollingsworth lines one to right center, scoring 3 runs. But Todd is going to try to stretch it. And at third, he's going to be thrown out. Dodgers go up 4-1. Bottom of the 6th, same score, and it's Jeff Bagwell. Solomé, 4-2. Dodgers with the lead. However, good relief pitching made the difference. Todd Morrell, hardest thing to do in a baseball, Orlando Miller. That's a breaking ball, and Dodgers win it 4-3. Ramon Martinez, his 7th consecutive victory dating back to last season. Hollingsworth, who had the 3-run double off of Shane Reynolds, is now 5 for 6 career against Reynolds. It's the Cards and the Mets. Tony La Russa's first game as the Cardinals manager. Cards up 3-zip, top of the 4th. Bobby Jones facing Willie McGee with 2 on, and Krakatoa, 3-run homer to right. Cards up 6-0. Top of the 7th. Cards up 6-3, looking for more with 2 on. Ray Langford sends it down the left field line. Royce Clayton tries to score from first, but Ray Ordonez, check this play out. Ordonez from his knees, and that's a little resourceful. Clayton is called out. Score remains 6-3. Bottom of the 7th, Mets go on a singles tear. Vizcaino, Ordonez, Chris Jones pinch hitting. Singles home, Vizcaino, Mets down 6-4. After a Lance Johnson RBI single, Mets down 6-5. Then Bernard Gilkey singles. Chris Jones rounds third and would score to tie the game. Rico Bronya flies to right. Lance Johnson tags up, scores from third. Can you believe it? The Mets come back from 6-0 down to win it 7-6. The deficit was the largest the Mets had overcome since June 14th, 1980, when they trailed the Giants by 6. Bernard Gilkey, 2 for 4, 2 RBIs against his old team. Reese.
Tony La Russa, Dave Duncan, Todd Stottlemyre, Dennis Eckersley. It seemed as if the entire A's team moved east in the offseason. Little did the club know the migration would include its home stadium, at least for a while. Renovations on the Oakland Coliseum forced the A's to play their season opening series against Toronto in Las Vegas. Major league teams playing in a minor league park for the first time since 1957 when the Dodgers played in New Jersey. Bright Light City, gonna set my soul on fire. Cashman Field, bottom 2, 1-0 Blue Jays. Not anymore. 2-run shot by Terry Steinbach. A's up 2-1 after 2. Top 5, Alex Gonzalez. There's a drive, and it's gone. A solo shot, 3-2 Toronto. Still in the 5th. 2 on, 2 out. John Olerud. John Olerud, master of his domain. A 3-run job off Carlos Reyes. 6-2 Toronto after 5. But wait, there's more. 7-3 Jays, runners on the corners. Don Wengert gives up the triple to Joe Carter. Otis, my man, Nixon Tilson Brito come around to score. Blue Jays have a big, fat, hefty 9-3 lead. There would be nothing else to see on this one. Blue Jays go on to win it by a count of 9-6. Olerud 2 for 5 with the job and 3 RBIs. And every Blue Jay starter had a hit except Ed Sprague. And that'll keep Howard Sprague quiet down at Floyd's Barbershop. Tigers and Twins, first inning. Paul Molitor is first at bat as a Twin and gets a standing O. Paul, however, would not deliver. The split finger from Felipe Lira. Molitor 1 for 3 with a walk. Bottom 1, runners on second and third. Big Daddy robbing Greg Myers and holding the runners. We stay tied at 1 until the next batter. Dave Hollins, a little dribbler up the middle. 2-run score. 2 for 3 for Hollins, 2 RBIs. Twins by 2. Bottom 3, Matt Lawton drives a single to right. Lawton replacing Kirby Puckett in the lineup. 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs, and Buddy Bell's Tigers would fall by a count of 8-6. Thus, his managerial debut is spoiled. Dave Hollins, 2 hits and the 2 RBIs. Radke, a career-high 8 Ks in his 6 innings of work for Brad. Lira gave up 8 hits and 6 runs in his 3 innings for the Tigers. More from opening day coming up a little bit later in the show.
Michael Irvin, the Dallas Cowboys' all-time leading receiver, has been indicted on 2 counts of drug possession. He faces up to 20 years in prison if convicted. Irvin appeared in court on Monday. The indictment charges him with felony possession of at least 4 grams of cocaine and misdemeanor possession of marijuana. Irvin, along with former teammate Alfredo Roberts and 2 women, were in an Irving, Texas motel room on March 4th where drugs were found.
Michael Irvin will plead not guilty because he is not guilty of this offense and will be tried in a court, not in the press. Thank you.
The NFL released a statement Monday saying, "We are aware of Monday's grand jury charges and will closely monitor the case. Players ultimately convicted of drug-related violations of law are subject to disciplinary action by the commissioner." Jerry Jones and the Cowboys also released a statement saying, "It's been a difficult week for the Cowboys organization, and we want to express our deep concern for the entire Irvin family." It went on to say, "This matter is in the hands of the authorities, and we hope it will be resolved quickly." Still to come on SportsCenter, the Sabres are out of the playoffs, but they still have a say as to who gets in. And the Rocket has trouble getting off the old launching pad in Texas. Some call it Maze, others call it SportsCenter.
Last season, the Indians got Ken Hill as an insurance policy for their veteran pitching staff. When the Tribe picked up Jack McDowell in the offseason to go with Hershiser, Martinez, and Nagy, the premium on the Hill policy was expendable. The pitching-starved Rangers all too happy to make the free agent righty their new ace. Opening day in Arlington, and the new Texan facing a native of the Lone Star State, Roger Clemens and the Red Sox. Bottom of the second, Craig Worthington facing the Rocket Man. And I think it's going to be a long, long drive. Solo act, 2-0 Rangers. Clemens 5 innings. He gave up 4 runs, only 2 earned. Craig shows his Worthington with the leather. Pick and peg to get Will Cordero. And Hill was impressive. Troy O'Leary in the 5th. Sit on it, Potsy. Hill, 8 2/3, 7 Ks, 5-3 Texas is the final set. Hill was pretty much just fooling them, not overpowering them. Clemens handed out 6 walks. Worthington had just 2 homers all of last season, and he's halfway there. Ed Vosberg with his first save.
The Boston Bruins have made the playoffs for 28 consecutive seasons, the longest streak in major American professional sports, but they currently have 81 points, which is good for 7th place in the Eastern Conference. This is a pivotal week of ice hockey for Boston with a home-and-home series with Montreal Wednesday and Thursday. Keep in mind the Bruins lead New Jersey by just a point for the 8th and final spot. Monday night, the Bees visit Ottawa and follow along. 3rd period, no score. Odd man rush for the Senators. Daniel Alfredson walks in on Bill Ranford, beats him glove side, 1-0 Ottawa. The Bruins would strike back. Damian Rhodes, the save. Dave Archibald tries to clear it. Goes off the skate of Tim Sweeney, gives Sweeney the goal. Midway through the 3rd, Rhodes gets nailed by Sean McEachern. There's no goalie, but the Bruins cannot cash in. And Senators fans rejoice because they tied a team. 1-1 the final. Bill Ranford makes 26 saves for the Bees, who are 9-2-2 in their last 13 games. Ottawa has scored 2 goals or less in each of their last 8 games. Sabres and the Habs. Bad blood brewing, and who says hockey doesn't translate to TV? 3-1 Sabres in the 2nd. Matthew Barnaby, great feed. Pat LaFontaine past Jocelyn Thibault. 2nd of the game for Pat, 4-1 Sabres. Chris Murray smacks Rob Ray. Cross-check to the face. Ray left, did not return. Sabres bench concerned. Final seconds of the game. Lyle Odlin blasts the puck right at the Sabre bench. Sabre players go after Odlin. They're going to hold him back. 6-4 Sabres win a nasty game. The Sabres playing the role of spoiler get the 6-4 W. Hasek terrific in the net with 46 saves. The loss marks the first time since October that the Canadians have lost consecutive home games. Whalers at the Panthers. Wayne Huizenga and NFL Commissioner Gary Bettman chatting in the stands. 1st period winding down scoreless game. Brendan Shanahan, Andrew Cassells, he scores 1-0 Whalers. Back come the Panthers in the 2nd. 1-1 game on the power play. Niedermeyer, Scott Mellenby, his 30th. Rats are back. They lead 2-1. Martin Straka, Ray Shepard beats Sean Burke. 6 goals, 7 games with Florida. 3-1 Panthers after 2. Jeff O'Neill with 2 scoring chances. You know what? That's the Beezer simply being the Beezer. Florida wins at 3-2, ending their 4-game losing streak. They have just 4 wins in their last 17 games. The Whalers' playoff hopes grow dimmer with the loss. In fact, it looks like it's over for the Whalers of beautiful Hartford. They're 9 points out with 7 games to play. Not a good time for the Bruins Monday in a game where it looked like a sure 2 points going in. The Habs and Panthers exchanged positions.
Still more ahead from the Meadowlands. They're singing My Old Kentucky Home with a little extra vim and vigor in the Bluegrass State. Cats are champs. We'll go back to Jersey and Hear from Slick Rick right after that. This is SportsCenter.
Yo, hey! Ryan, want to know who's in the house tonight? You can't tell me who's in the blue and white. You can't tell me who's going out tonight. You can't tell me.
The Kentucky Wildcats are coming home with the national title this whole state pretty much demanded. And for Rick Pitino, isn't it ironic, to quote Alanis Morissette, the native New Yorker who left New York, was brought to Lexington to win this championship, wins it back here in metropolitan New York, the same place where Adolph Rupp won his first national title back in '48.
Last year, when we didn't go to Seattle, I told every family member, I don't know why you're looking at it so negatively. Don't you think it would be a lot better to win it in New Jersey, where we're all from? And they said, do you really believe that? And I said, without question, we're going to win it. Did I believe it? Absolutely not. But I said it to make them try and feel better.
All-time NCAA tournament winning percentage, Rick Pitino leapfrogging Steve Fisher in this tournament. Only Mike Krzyzewski has a better winning percentage among active coaches, and now Pitino joins really a different class of coach now that he has that ring. Didn't get a lot from his centers on Monday night. Really, combined, they were just 3 of 12 from the floor, only 8 points, but they did some little things.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. With 64-62, a crucial moment in the game, and they had to come up big, and it was the senior, Walter McCarty. We watched the shot by Mr. Delk. Look at the tip-in. A big tip-in. Then another big play. We see the miss and a rebound by McCarty coming up with the loose ball. And there he is. He finds Mr. Pope. Mr. Pope knocks it down. So 2 big offensive rebounds by Walter McCarty. They didn't shoot well, their big guys, but they made big plays.
The day after Palm Sunday, Pope getting it done. And speaking of seniors, not McCarty and Pope, but also Tony Delk did a great job early, dude.
Well, Rick Pitino really did a great job after the UMass loss by moving Tony Delk to second guard. You saw why. He shoots 7 for 12 in the threes tonight, but crunch time threes, when you look at his minutes, his points, and the three-point shooting, that's the reason why that perimeter game, even against the zone, Tony, yes, Mr. Delk was a senior that got it done.
The whole team only had 3 threes in the win over UMass. Rick Pitino calling it fool's gold when you shoot the threes. They needed those threes Monday. They were 12 of 27, 6 of them in the first half by Mr. Delk.
The depth we had was really important. You know, like you have guys like Ron, Allen, and Jeff that came in and gave us a lift and gave us a breathing. You need that, you know, in clutch moments. You know, we have confidence in everyone on this team, and you know, Mark stepped up and made some big free throws, and rebound the ball and hustle was the big key for us.
We couldn't even consider playing at any other program with any other. It's just not a thought that enters your eyes. We feel like, you know, Coach always talks about the Roman Empire, and you know, it's bigger than us. We feel so fortunate to be a part of this program. So it's not relief. We're so excited that we could maybe add something to this, and dang, you know, it's. Who
are you happiest? It's okay to be speechless. Is there a better feeling to win a national title going out in your final college game? On the other side, much different emotions when you take off that college jersey for the final time. Here's J.B. Reef-Snyder of Syracuse.
We had them, like 2:25 left. It was 64-62 then. And I just made some big shots down there. Being a senior, this is my last game, and a chance to win a national championship, and you think that you have the game in hand, and it's so close, and you're going to pull it out again in the end, and this time we fell short.
Coaches have more than one chance. Jim Boeheim may be back to a championship game again. Players only get that one chance. They were so close.
Well, that shock of defeat hits you, but when you take a look, everybody thought the Big East this year was going to be UConn, Georgetown, Villanova. No, Jim Boeheim and the seniors at Syracuse got it done, and they have nothing to be ashamed of, Dick.
Well, I'll tell you, the seniors were brilliant. When you talk about the dynamic duo of Mr. Sims and Mr. Wallace, they set the tone. A phenomenal year. They overachieved, I thought, all year long. They played brilliantly, and I know one thing, Jimmy Boeheim, your president thinks you've done a great job. I sat on a plane with him about 2 months ago, and he was singing your praises. Get in and see him for a raise. I'll represent you. Respect finally has come your way.
Meanwhile, John Wallace, whose stock we have watched zoom in this NCAA tournament, finishes up his career 29 points, 11 of 19. After the game, he spoke with Clark Kellogg.
Was there any one thing or two things that this game hinged on? To me, it looked like they just seemed to come up with a few more big plays than you guys were able to over the course of the game.
They made some spurts, but we came right back at them. At no point in time during that game,
even when they went on that little run there up 13, that I think we're going to lose. I'm sitting there smiling because I know we're going to come back. I don't worry about those runs. You know, and my teammates feel the same way. You know, I lead by example, and if I have that feeling, of course my teammates got the feeling. I'm just saying, once I get the ball, I'm going to make things happen. I'm not worried about how much they're up because they still got to stop us.
John, congratulations on a great year.
Thank you.
You have not seen the last of John Wallace. What a great career ahead of him. Boil it down, guys. One thing that made the difference Monday night.
I thought Kentucky's defense into turnovers against Syracuse.
Yeah, converting the turnover into a score, 27 points versus Syracuse, only 14. Delk out of the gate, 6 out of 7 from three-point range, really was big.
And Patino, that first championship 2 days short of his 20th wedding anniversary, huh?
Hey, let's dinner on us. Rick, dinner on us. We will treat you any place you want to go for your wedding anniversary.
As Robert Goulet sang, kick a little tush, get back on the bus. Patino and company coming home with a national title.
Final Four Report is brought to you by All Sport. Now with B vitamins. It's more than a thirst quencher. It's a body quencher.
Still to come, more opening day excitement, including Rhinos' return to Wrigley. And the Pirates are full of young players, and they may have found a new star. The kids say center, but they should be seen, not heard. We're back. Monday marked the return of Rhino. It was the first game for Ryne Sandberg since retiring abruptly on June 10th, 1994. It was a chilly day at Wrigley, but the sight of Sandberg back in a Cubs uniform gave the home fans a warm and fuzzy feeling, actually a warm sensation. Cubs and the Padres, there he is, all smiles, and former Cub Rick Sutcliffe, the usher. Rhino's first at-bat, scoreless in the first, and get out of here. You go, Rhino, you go. Ricky Henderson on the warning track. Sandberg 0 for 3, bottom of the 8th, 4-3 Cubs. Runners on first and second. Mark Gray singles to left off Willie Blair. Scott Bullitt trying to score is going to fall down, and Grace laughs a man's laugh. That would be costly. Top of 9. Wally Joyner. Wally's got a new world. First game as a Padre, doubles the left. Ken Caminetti scores from first, tied at 4, top of 10, 2 out, bases loaded. Caminetti facing Bob Patterson. It's called out on a wide strike. Ken doesn't like it. Inning over. We go bottom of 10, bases loaded. It's Mark Grace again. He can win it with an RBI single off Trevor Hoffman. And he does it. Cubs win. 5-4-10. Rhino goes 0 for 3 with 2 walks, but handled 7 chances at second base rather adeptly in his first game in nearly 2 years. Game time temps 38 degrees with a 17-mile-per-hour wind. It's the Pirates and the Marlins. Moment of silence before the game, Eric Gray. Devon White playing with no sunglasses on a sunny day. Doesn't need glasses because he's a Gold Glove winner. Carlos Garcia, Devo loses it. Scored a triple for Carlos Garcia. Next batter, Rookie of the Year candidate Jason Kendall. Rips an RBI single. Garcia scores 1-0 Pirates. Top of the 8th, still 1-0. Bases juice for the Bucks. 2 outs, 1 and 2 to Jay Bell. Terry Matthews thinks he has a strike. Next pitch, Bell. Awaiting. That's double. Mike Kingery. Al Martin score, made it 3-0 Pirates. They go on to win by the final of 4-0. 21-year-old Jason Kendall makes his major league debut, going 3 for 4 with 2 RBIs. I was nervous, said Jason as he opened up, but I'll probably be nervous the rest of my career. He's the son of former big league catcher Fred Kendall.
As the Reds and Expos got set to christen the '96 season, John McSherry was in a good mood. Cincinnati catcher Ed Tobbins, he says McSherry told him, "Eddie, you can call the first 2 innings." Less than an hour later, McSherry was dead from a massive heart attack. McSherry's concern about his health didn't concern his well-being as much as his fear it would cost him a spot in the game he loved. Keith Olbermann has a look at the umpire called a gentle giant.
There was a huge, gruff exterior, an umpire as designed by Central Casting, authoritative, looming, in control. But behind both the literal and figurative mask was a man of great warmth and generosity who gave respect and earned it from his earliest days in baseball.
Hi, John. How are you? What would you do in this situation if you were managing this ball club, John?
You took this club in first, man.
I got a big decision to make, and I just don't know what to do. I thought maybe possibly could help me. John, I got a decision to make, and I just don't know. I thought maybe whatever you think would be best, John, I'll go along with it because I know you're very knowledgeable. Go.
He's great to work with. He's not argumentative. The guy goes out there and tries to do a good job every time out. He was a real professional.
John McSherry was one of the true princes of the game of baseball.
In love with the game since his childhood on the streets of the Bronx, John McSherry became a National League umpire in 1971, 3 months before his 27th birthday, virtually as young as a Major League umpire can be. He worked in 7 NL Championship Series and the World Series of 1977 and 1987, and earned perhaps the umpire's highest honor 8 years ago, becoming a crew chief, ironically after the death of the equally venerated umpire Lee Wire, also from a heart attack.
Describe how important doing this was for him.
John loved this. This is John's life.
John McSherry, though listed at 6 foot 2.5 inches tall and 328 pounds, had passed the mandatory preseason National League physical in February. He had long feared baseball would force him to stop umpiring because of his weight. Last year, he had done just that, taking a brief leave of absence after suffering shortness of breath during a Braves-Cubs series. And in Game 7 of the 1992 NLCS, in front of a national TV audience, McSherry, working the plate, complained of dizziness. Thus, it was Randy Marsh and not John McSherry who would eventually call Sid Bream safe with the pennant-winning run. That winter, John McSherry asked me to mention on the air that he was just fine, that so many people had asked him about his health that it had become embarrassing. "I'm okay," he said. "I'm okay."
John was an umpire purist. He was a great guy. He gave his life to the game, and we're just sorry that he's gone. We're all brokenhearted.
Keith, thank you. McSherry was single and lived in Dobbs Ferry, New York. He's survived by a sister who lives in Chicago. Funeral arrangements will be announced. John McSherry dead at 51. Craig and I continue on SportsCenter. Question of whether the Raiders will change hosses in midstream has an answer. That darts a hint. And the team formerly known as the Browns did change cities. Business in Baltimore when SportsCenter rolls on. Baltimore answered when Art Modell came a-tapping, gently rapping at the city's door. After months of lawsuits, political haggling, and fan despair, the team formerly known as the Browns play in Cleveland nevermore. The Ravens, as the team is now known, moved into the Colts' old practice facility in the Baltimore suburbs Monday. Sal Palantonio tells us it's a franchise ready to put the troubles of the last few months in the past evermore.
Good morning, Baltimore Ravens.
F. Scott Fitzgerald said that in America there are no second acts. On Monday here, Ted Marchibroda started working on his third. 22 years ago, Marchibroda was head coach of the Baltimore Colts. In 1992, he returned to the Colts, this time in Indianapolis. He left that job in a contract disagreement in February. Now, Marchibroda is back in Baltimore as head coach of the Ravens. The franchise, Art Modell, moved from Cleveland.
That was certainly a pleasant surprise, and I naturally wanted the job, and hopefully that it would take place because it's a veteran football team and it's a good football team.
Modell and his organization are starting over too. Cleveland made him leave the Browns name and logo in northern Ohio. Buying the Colts name back was more than he could afford.
I tried until they said they wanted $25 million. Then I stopped trying.
I think Art said, hey, come on. No name's worth $25 to $50 million. That's ridiculous. And people in Baltimore felt that way. No one wanted to see Art go out and spend that kind of money.
It turns out Modell needed it. Opponents of Maryland's $200 million agreement with him, most of it for a new stadium, threatened to scuttle the deal, so Modell made a goodwill gesture.
The thought was raised that maybe Mr. Modell ought to contribute $24 million. Now, we had a binding contract with him. He didn't have to do that at all.
I hope to prove that we're good citizens in this franchise. They had a problem, and I wanted to solve the problem for them, and I did. And that's it.
I think he did it because he is a guy, and the people in Cleveland obviously would take issue with me, but I think he's a guy who is sensitive to the fans.
After months of bitterness and living in near exile in Florida, Art Modell is trying to rebuild his image. Now comes the hard part, putting his football team back together again. In Owings Mills, Maryland, I'm Sal Palantonio, ESPN.
Thanks, Sal. While the Ravens settle into their new digs and try to rebuild that team, Cleveland sits and waits on a new stadium and the team that the NFL pledges to deliver to play in it by the turn of the century. Craig.
Haas is staying with the silver and black. Jeff Hostetler tested the free agent market, but he's returning to the Raiders. According to two print reports, the Raiders QB has agreed to terms to remain a Raider. Terms of the deal not announced. Haas had numerous injuries last season, including surgery on his left shoulder. The Raiders have a press conference scheduled for Tuesday. When the center goes forward and moves ahead, not many people sleeping in Kentucky Monday night. We'll go back to New York for a final word on the finals next.
At Big Crystal basketball, the Sears Trophy is headed to Lexington, the 6th national title in the glorious history of Kentucky basketball. But it had been a long time no see. 18 years between titles, not quite matching the UCLA drought from '75 until their title last year. Kansas went 36 years before Danny Manning and company delivered a title. Kentucky marches through, winning their 6 tournament games by an average of 21.5 points, the biggest margin since the 64-team field. All right, Dick, let's look ahead to next year. Does Pitino stay, and how good is Kentucky?
Well, you know, he's a guy of great loyalty. He believes that. He preaches it all the time. He recruited a great class with Mercer and Turner and company. I think his loyalty is going to keep him there unless a special job opens somewhere in the NBA that is special. Will not be New Jersey, will not be the Nets. Look at Kentucky next year when you line up with the likes of Epps, Shepard, and Turner in a backcourt up front with Anderson, Mercer, and Antoine Walker. A great nucleus to build on. They're certainly projected again, in my estimation, top 5 in America.
Well, but Dick, it's a 7-year itch when you take a look at Rick Pitino. He wants a new challenge. He's done everything he can do in Kentucky. He's won the national title. 7 years is enough. It wouldn't surprise me, Chris, to see him leave.
All right, Kentucky is certainly, I think, more than top 5, perhaps preseason number 1.
Wow,
we look ahead to next year. Who do you think else is going to challenge and be in the top 5?
I'll tell you, Chris, my number 1 team, hey, last year we said it right here on the show at the end. Kentucky would cut the Nets down. Get ready. Get ready for the RCA Dome. Cutting them down? Yes, Roy Williams and the Jayhawks. All 5 starters return. Vaughn, Haas, Pollard, Pierce, and LaFrentz. A big year again for the Jayhawks. They will cut it down.
Does Jacques Vaughn return? That's the hard thing about predicting next year. We don't know who's coming back
Exactly.
yet.
If. But Vaughn will come back. He definitely belongs in college. Great role model for youngsters. In fact, we need more Jacques Vaughns.
Well, I'm going out west. I agree. I love what the Southeastern Conference did this year. They got the respect. 4 teams made the Sweet 16. The Big Ten has got to really search and destroy the last 2 years of going 3-11 and no one to the Sweet 16 into that bracket Final Four. But UCLA, Jimmy Herrick has everybody back, and I think they are embarrassed by the loss to Princeton, as they were against Tulsa 2 years ago, and watch out for them 3 years ago when they come back and make that run to go to the Final Four.
Hey, I'll tell you one thing. He mentions the SEC. A salute to Roy Kramer. Women's team wins, Lady Vols, and now we have Kentucky.
All right, the question is, do the Big East Stars return, or is Conference USA the power conference? That's it from New York. We leave you with the sights and sounds of the '96 tournament.
Hooks it up off the glass, no good, and the backboard. And he shatters the backboard. Looks for something down low. With 3.9 seconds left. He shoots at the horn. Good! Good! And it counts! All the way. Stop from 20. He hit it! He hit it! What is the
Can we start the season tomorrow? More ice capades ahead. The Oilers drive their playoff hopes into the GM place, and the Canucks hoping to throw up a stop sign. This is SportsCenter. Welcome back. Ice time now. Canucks and the Oilers pick it up in the first period. David Oliver on the wraparound. No soup. Todd Marchant gets soup. His 16th bowl of the season, 1-0 Edmonton. A minute later, Jason Arnott centers the puck, and Dean McCammon says thank you very much. He had 2 goals on the night, 2-0 Oilers. Closing seconds of the first, Canucks fight back. Russ Courtnall, the blast, goes off of Martin Gelinas. Courtnall credit for the goal, 2-1 Edmonton after 1. Second period, Oilers on the power play. Jason Arnott Loads up slap shot. Excellent movie, effective scoring technique. Number 26 for Arnott, 3-1 Oilers. It's 3-2 Edmonton when Doug Waite feeds Boris Mironov, and Boris sticks it home again on the power play. Oilers would go on to win it by a count of 6-2. Edmonton 4 of 6 on the power play. The Canucks 0 for 6 with the extra man. And Edmonton leapfrogs Anaheim for 9th place in the West, just 3 points behind the Jets, who hold the 8th and final playoff spot.
News and notes, the Cards put outfielder Brian Jordan on the 15-day DL with an injured right thumb on the track. CART has filed a lawsuit to maintain the brand name IndyCar. The action is in response to the IRL's request that CART stop using the IndyCar name. ESPN's first Wednesday night doubleheader of the season is this week, falling on, of course, Wednesday. The Giants at the Braves is game 1 at 7:30, followed by Milwaukee at California. Natural forces did not let everyone start their season on Monday. We'll recap opening day and look at Tuesday's pitchers when Reese and I return. Snow prevented the Indians from opening their season with the Yankees on Monday, also postponed due to the weather. In the American League, Kansas City at Baltimore. In the National League, rain spoiled the Phillies opener with the Rockies. The world champion Braves started their season with a win. Greg Maddux earning the first victory of the year. And the Mets rally from 6 down to beat St. Louis. Reese.
Kings of the Hill on the Diamonds Tuesday. The Yanks send David Cone to the mound against the defending AL champion Indians. And El Presidente, Dennis Martinez, is 12-5 for Cleveland last season. Tuesday's other starters, Royals send Kevin Appier against the Orioles and Mike Mussina. Tigers send out Clint Sadowski against the Twins. Minnesota counters with Rich Robertson. Wilson Alvarez takes the mound for the White Sox against Seattle and the former Yankee Sterling Hitchcock. The Brewers will throw Ricky Bonas at Chuck Finley and the Angels. In the senior circuit, Rockies putting on the Kevin Ritz. He was 11-11 in '95. Philly counters with Sid Fernandez. El Cid 6-4 a year ago. Other National League matchups go a little something like this. Tuesday, Jeff Vocero and the Expos at Pete Shurik and the Reds. John Eriks hurls for the Pirates against John Burkett and the Marlins. And Ismael Valdez takes the hill for Los Angeles against Greg Swindell and Houston. Greg and I coming right back with Did You Know? The Wildcats, Kings of the Hill in more ways than one. Ponder the possibilities and we'll deliver the answer.
Catch the NBA tonight, 5:30 Eastern. That's 2:30 in Carmel, Clintstown. A look at the streaking Spurs, the struggling Grizzlies, evaluate the Western race, and a preview of this huge game. Bulls Magic Sunday from the Arena. Reese.
Immediately following that program, the man they call Nails, Lenny Dykstra, up close with Chris Myers. He's up there, he's out there, he's on there.
Not only did Kentucky win the national championship Monday night, but they move into first place on a certain list.
Did you know the Wildcats now own the record for the most NCAA tournament wins with 70? The victory over Syracuse, they pass UCLA on the all-time list.
But the Bruins still have the most titles with 11.
That's right. Craig and I coming right back on SportsCenter. A lot of people opening their seasons in baseball.
And the last game from the